Hello everyone. All right. Today I want to talk about this past summer. Why everybody's lawns be dying all the time, or at least in patches. It's come through like a series of questions. People wondering why there's yellow spots, why there's thinning, there's, dead spots happening. Sometimes it feels like these things happen very quick to your lawn, but they don't. They take time. We're going to run through it right now. First, St. Augustine. So St. Augustine, it does have like a bit of a personality of its own. It is temperamental if it's not taken care of properly. It does need attention. It's a very beautiful grass when it's taken care of. And so if you're not paying attention, it's susceptible to things like fungus and chinch bugs. It also gets beat down by the heat quite a bit. Which leads us to our next one, which is weather. This past summer was easily one of the most interesting times to be a lawn guy in Florida. We didn't have nearly as much water as we usually do. We didn't have hurricanes like we usually do. The soil content, moisture content in the soil was a lot lower. And there were plenty of people whose houses were flooded when we had these storms. The reason that usually happens because of a couple things. Number one, the drainage system is not maintained properly. Now the city has their own stuff in the county and the state, and they're all working on the flooding in Florida, for sure. But on top of that, you have people in these neighborhoods that don't cut their ditches or their swales appropriately. And all it takes is one of those houses to back up a whole road. So you have to take care of that. The other part is the fact that we've had this up and down weather over the past summer. It leads to periods where there's a lot of dryness, and that compacts the soil down. It basically becomes sand, and it tightly binds together and stuff. So then when water comes, it's hydrophobic. It's been deprived of moisture for so long that it's become hydrophobic. So now the water is just going to resist percolating into the ground. And that's where you get houses here in Florida Shores flooding with a 2.5-hour storm. These houses are fine. Most of them are built up high enough. They really are. It's just aeration, taking care of the soil. We have these periods of weather where it gets pretty tough. You have to navigate it. It's been like a freaking battlefield for lawn guys over the past, summers, being like, you get like 2 weeks of nothing, and then you get like a few days of rain, and then it disappears, and then everything floods, but it hangs around, so then you get fungus. It's been crazy. Next is cut height. You got to cut your grass high enough. I don't care what Northern Lawn Service you guys watch or what clips on social media you watch about cutting your deck or cutting your grass at a certain height. St. Augustine's 4 inches. We're just going to put that out there. Very rarely can you get away with anything lower than 4 inches, like 3.5 or 3 3/4. St. Augustine's such a broad leaf grass that when it grows up and it intertwines with its other leaves and stuff, it creates like a canopy that protects the roots and the crown from all of that burning sun up there. That will dry out the roots and prevent moisture and water from going up into the roots, specifically nutrients, which is why you'll see yellowing. And it'll also promote weeds, because now you have St. Augustine's like pulling back because you're cutting it. And the growth that you see from the St. Augustine is like this spotty growth, which are like these reachers that are trying to reach out, but the undergrowth is like dying. And so that will leave these open grassy patches, because when you look down to St. Augustine, there's plenty of soil between the roots and stuff. Well, these are where weeds will grow in now because they have access to sunlight. We don't want that. We want to reverse that process. We want to cut the grass high, make sure that it creates shade over the soil so that weeds don't grow, and it can promote its sideways growth. St. Augustine grows sideways, loves growing sideways. Most of its growth is sideways growth. So we don't want to inhibit that. Same thing with edging. You don't want to edge St. Augustine too much. It does need a blade edger consistently throughout the summer. But in the winter time, you can get away with using a weed eater instead of an edger if you're doing it properly and going slow and making sure your edges are nice and straight and you're not digging into that undergrowth. But blade edgers are still useful. And making sure you're straight and you're pulling it close to the concrete and not letting it angle over and create a bad edge. Edging, grass height, very important. Make sure you're cutting tall, you're not over edging. Because these issues with your lawn will happen over time. It's like a fading thing. It's not overnight. So you need to pay attention. It's probably the leading aspect of a lawn service that you need to be paying attention to when you're hiring or you have a lawn service, you know, to make sure that they are focusing on these details, that they are just in tune with it, that they're a nerd and they don't have a life and all they do is they read landscape magazines and stare at grass and watch YouTube videos. I'm not saying that's me. It's very easy, you know, if the lawn service is touching the grass, you know, on a regular basis and touching the property on a regular basis, they'll see these things. And it's another reason why I do 50 cuts, 50 visits per year at my customers' houses here in Florida. And I know some people are going to go crazy about that and it might be a waste of money and all that stuff, but it's not. I split my weeks and I'll make a whole video on that. 50 visits per year, 2 weeks off. It's just what the ecosystem requires. It's just what it requires. Regular service, you know, periodic. It knows time. It's nature. That's what I try to do. Try to focus on the details. It's not complex. It really isn't complex. It's only like a handful of things. Making sure you have a solid spray company, making sure your irrigation is good, and that you're paying attention to the details and cutting it on a regular basis, you know? So anyways, I hope that this next summer, after we get through this winter, next summer is a little more fruitful and a little less of a battlefield of trying to fight off all these issues that are popping up, coming around. I suspect it won't be too much different, but I'm adapting. I think a lot of lawn services out there are adapting to it pretty well. And yeah, if you want to see more about this stuff, I'm going to be breaking down a lot more of this through the coming months. I guess the usual spiel of hit that like button and subscribe, and I'll see you guys next time. Peace.